Perfect. So first of all, welcome to the session. Don't just use Agile Lipstick. Agile is more than makeup. I'll first introduce, well, Boris Program, a company that I work for some time now. It's basically a consultancy, management consultancy, working on Agile transformation projects in, let's say, sometimes also pretty massive companies. Well, the range of the portfolio is from automotive, financial services, insurance, hardware. That's quite a bright array. And therefore, I'm also, well, management consulting company. I'm also a consultant. Why am I saying that I'm a consultant? That's because I'm actually not a speaker normally. I like to kind of, roll my sleeves up and do the dirty work with the teams and with the organizations where I work. So I'm either doing peer reviews with Scrum Masters and experienced teams, or I'm working as an interim Scrum Masters for teams that are just kind of starting up, or as an Agile coach, although that's kind of an invented term, so in a scaled environment, coaching management, product owners, and so on. But the point is that as with that role, I have to be, or I'm very user-centric. So my idea is also not really to kind of talk here for forever, but to also give you a chance to kind of ask questions, give feedback, talk about things that you guys are struggling with perhaps in your projects. And yeah, I think that kind of makes a lot more sense than being just kind of one way. And I think also another important point is, given that I work actively, I'm not going to be talking very theoretically at all. So my work, it's more about sharing my experiences or the challenges that kind of come across every day. Now, here it says Moritz Müller as well, but Moritz is right now, I think, in Munich airport, probably having a beer and some brezel, because he's managed to, well, one flight was delayed, he couldn't take another flight, so he's going to arrive here around 9:30 in the evening, which is a perfect time to take him for some more drinks or go out afterwards. But anyway, the concept has changed also a little bit. Nevertheless, I'll go through the main points that we've had. Actually, where I want to start is what we heard this morning, where a colleague said 70% of all transformation projects fail. I mean, are you guys surprised by that? I mean, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I work in one of the biggest German banks normally, and one of the biggest car manufacturers in Germany. They're doing Agile transformation, and it's really a struggle. Now, I want to ask you, how many of you are working with Scrum? Okay, so around about half, okay. What I want to say about Scrum is, or pose a question, is doing Scrum actually being Agile? And I'm going to take it one step further, and I'm going to say, you know what? You don't even need Scrum. Who the hell wants to have Scrum? Why? What is Scrum and what is Agile? So the way that I see these things is, Scrum is basically a framework. And as a framework, it's a process. Whereas Agile is different. It's a mindset. It's how we understand the world that's around us and how we engage with that world. So you can do Scrum, lock yourself into your team, and run through the little meetings and do that and have your little board and stuff like that. Doesn't ever mean that you really opened up to the world around you. And we've heard today a lot about VUCA and about how challenging the market is and how it changes so fast with so many different actors and so many interconnections at so many levels. I mean, with Scrum, if you're just doing that and not thinking about the external world, there's not really that much point to it. So I said, yeah, process versus mindset. But there's also another issue. So it's not only process versus mindset, it's process versus your service, your product, and your goals. It's not about having a process. The focus always needs to be on what you're actually trying to achieve. You're not there just to do Agile. The point is, what is the service that we deliver? Who are we delivering this to? And I'm quite amazed at how many teams I've been to and how many people at very high management positions I've talked to who are, yeah, we're committed to this Agile transformation. What kind of a process are we going to establish? Right? I mean, the process comes second. What do you actually want to achieve? I mean, as my boss would say, his boys would say, what's the beach house? Show me the beach house. Where do I actually want to be? I'll figure out the process that fits to it. That's the whole thing. And it's also one of the, quite funny one, my clients sometimes in this bank that caused me to get a lot of gray hairs prematurely. I have to explain to them, being agile is nothing, it's no different than standing at the Frankfurt, because I work in Frankfurt, so I go through the main station every day. Standing on platform 20 and Deutsche Bahn or the German railways being known for their non-efficiency and not being on time and really quite a mess, they continuously change platforms. Right? So all of a sudden they say, well, it's platform 10. This train's going to go from platform 10. Okay, fine. So what do you do then? Do you think about the process of getting to that platform, or do you think about your end goal? You say, well, the end goal is that I want to get on that train, so I just go to a different platform. Doesn't matter what process I use. I say, well, it's exactly the same analogy. Why can't you apply it when you do this in your own work? So yeah, bigger companies focus on process because they're used to it. And it's a very difficult kind of mindset to start breaking down. Now, one thing that I said a minute ago, that, Scrum, so we can look at the tactical level or this whole Scrum flow here, that you don't even need it, it's useless. I wouldn't go maybe as far as saying it's useless, but that we don't need it. However, what Scrum is great about is that it asks the right questions. I don't care in which format you do it at the end, as long as you ask the right questions. So you go to things like, I can't see it from this angle, if you go to sprint planning 1, what do you ask? What is there to do? Like, tell me, what is the things that you, as a product owner, have prioritized as the most important thing for this sprint? What's your scope of the sprint? Sprint planning 2. We as a team will decide how we do it. Dailies, it's not about the team looking at the product owner or the Scrum Master and reporting to them. I've had this very, very often where they just kind of stand there and then tell me what they're doing. I'm like, I don't care what you're doing. Honestly, as a Scrum Master, it's these other guys that you're working with towards the same goal, towards your sprint objective. Talk to them. It's not a reporting meeting. Things like sprint review, where we look at what we produce and get feedback on that. And then, the retrospective, where the idea is how do we improve the whole environment in which we work. So Scrum is great in a way because it answers all of these questions, but you can change these things around. You can call them differently. I had a team just recently because I'm working on training. I have 6 Scrum Masters right now in different parts of the bank that I'm training for a few months in how to start the Agile transformation in their teams, and their product owners are sometimes not very easy people, and the management and so on. So, well, you know what, just change the name of the meetings. If they have such a problem with a meeting, sprint planning 1 and sprint planning 2, call it Susan. I don't just do something with it, but the whole point is you get to the point where you want to be getting. Now, that brings me then slowly to user centricity. We said reviews. That's where you get the feedback from the users. And it's really amazing how there's also this strange, I didn't call it like paranoia from teams to go and present what they've done. Say this is actually what we produced, this is our deliverable, these are the functionalities and so on. And you start digging a little bit deeper into it. At first, I noticed very often, actually they're not user-centric at all. I mean, they're like, yeah, we know all about this, we know users. But they work with tasks, and they don't work with user stories. And there's a great reason why there are user stories. When you develop your persona, so you're kind of fictive representative of your customer or your user, and you direct the products or your functionalities towards these people. And this doesn't have to be IT. I mean, people have did weddings, they organize with Scrum. I worked in a field that's, well, yeah, very closely connected with war crimes, prosecutions. We worked with Scrum. Nothing IT there. I mean, I had colleagues who could barely work with an Excel table, so it works still. Because we've had, who's the user? Who are we focusing on? What is the value that we are generating? It's also about, the review is also, of course, about this, as I said, the feedback. How do you know what do you need to improve if you don't get the feedback? People plan things for quite a while in advance, and they think that they know how this is all going to work, but they never actually realize that, yeah, in a changing world, things will just change. And instead of also developing things one after the other, start developing MVPs. Get something out, a minimum viable product. Get something out for someone to be able to use, to see, to test, and give you feedback on that. And then you can add additional features or additional elements that these users may want to have. Or then you start also getting the wonderful feedback from your users, or people who are giving you feedback that they haven't even thought about, you've done this, maybe I could do actually this, maybe that's what I want. So the users also change with the stuff that you develop for them. This feedback is absolutely crucial. I mean, in the retrospectives from the side of the team, about how we work better as a team and the whole environment in an organization, but also towards the people that you're actually producing something. And now, I'll go tell you again an example of, again from a bank, because it's a challenging environment. I worked with training one Scrum Master for a team there of 10 or 12 people, and we had a retrospective, and I said, well, you guys are, from my point of view, you really need to start writing user stories. You're not really, can you tell me? You're not really user-centric at all. And they were looking at me saying, but we don't know who our users are. Do you want to guess what they were doing? They were HR for a bank of 40,000 people. I was like, you know what the user is? Just open the door. Look, they're all your users. It's a whole system of the whole bank for, I don't know, employment, further education, booking your holidays, getting your card filled with credit so you can go to the canteen. I mean, every single bit of HR was going through that, and then I wouldn't know who our users are. That's why the Scrum Masters were like, nah, come on, we'll figure it out. Yeah, look, they're there. Just, invite them. Why not? It's so cool to get feedback from these people. At the end of the day, you know that you're producing something for someone. Individuals' interactions over processes and tools. I don't know if it's the second or the third, second one of the, Yeah, I don't know if it's which point in the row, but yeah, Agile Manifesto. I mean, I already mentioned processes, Scrum as a process, and it is important. That's why there's this over. That we do want to have a process, but the process should not lead the way. It is about ensuring that there is individuals and interactions. You can use Scrum, that the meetings that you have in Scrum are useless if you just go through these motions instead of getting people to really engage and communicate with one another. That's inside the team, inside the organization, outside, like you said, with your users, with your customers. And that also brings me to one of my favorite issues or topics in transformation or in like relatively junior teams. I mean, junior not in terms of the experience or age, but in terms of experience with agile work. They say we have Jira, we have a work model, so we understand how you're definitely agile. I was like, yeah, but you guys write Jira for a start. You don't have any user stories inside by tasks. And second, what people do is they write their names. In sprint planning, they write their names, who's going to be doing what. I mean, cross-functional teams, learning from one another, bigger idea pool. I mean, all the benefits of Agile, all of a sudden, what's the point? So, yes, processes and tools, definitely, they help. We had a team that's had a person sitting in Singapore, a few of them in Frankfurt and one in New York. I mean, they couldn't have dailies practically. But still, without Jira, it would be impossible. Where you take photos of the board every 3 hours, it doesn't work. It's great, but make sure that there's also individuals and interactions. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, the more important things. As I said, the Scrum flow, it's about enabling that. It's about enabling the interactions. And then my final point is planning. So, okay, sprint planning 1, sprint planning 2, but there's also the backlog refinement element where you kind of look what could be in there, so it's also an element of planning. And there are, I think, more points here that I want to raise, and the first one is that plans are actually completely useless. And someone said that, I can't remember who because I'm really bad with names, but someone said plans are useless, planning is everything. So the expectation is that we don't have, and I'll come to PI planning from SAFE or big room planning, what people call it, because I absolutely hate it. The idea is that you get product owners which tell me, well, this is my time here. So this is the sprint. And for them it's like, backlog refinement is here, so I'll plan a little bit here, and then I have sprint planning 1, sprint planning 2, that's my planning. Yeah. Sorry, doesn't work. Your planning rate is here. You plan the backlog all the time. You need to change your backlog all the time because you are the one also talking to the customers, to the users. You're supposed to be out there speaking to people, figuring out what the new technologies are, what the new trends are. Know that you get a bank that started, 10, 12 years ago or so, like N26 in Germany, and basically screwed everyone over. I was about to say that I worked in another bank before the one that I'm working at now, which is a very, very nice, is a very good example of a massive bank doing an agile transformation. One is orange, the other one is yellow. You can probably figure out, I'm not allowed to say more. The point with the planning is, I like to have certainty within the sprint of what we're doing. That doesn't mean the people who say we have to keep the scope inside the sprint as it is. Like, yeah, theoretically, but you have a lot of teams that have, what are they called? Defects, production issues, and so on. So of course you need to take these kind of things. You inspect and adapt, you learn from it. But I would still like to have some kind of certainty in this backlog. However, long-term planning, I was recently doing a PI planning for a period, I think, of 6 months. I started telling my team, how the hell do we prioritize for 6 months? I know approximately where, I don't know, I can't give you a completely clear idea. And what's even better, that's of course again in the bank, where just that area has 10 teams and almost 150 people. There are so many interdependencies, there are so many elements at which, but the management said, they want to have the certainty. Well, I said, we'll disappoint them in 6 months, because what we'll do is we won't be delivering this. We can say on the big scale, in the big picture, where we're going towards. And that's the point I want to make. Have a goal and a vision. Yeah. But how far how many details do you define it? It doesn't make any sense. Someone maybe just falls ill and is away, one of your team members for a week. So all of a sudden, everything that you planned, you can't do it. You can't tell people also, where are you going to be on holiday in the next 6 months? I mean, you get slaughtered by the, what are they called? Workers' Council. You can't plan for this kind of a long period. So, plan in little bits, know where you're going, and have a detailed idea of where you're going in a shorter time frame. But in the long term, there's no point in doing it. It doesn't work. It's not planning for its own sake. I see many big companies trying to push this and trying to get this on board. It doesn't make sense. I wrote here, how do you eat an elephant? Does anyone of you know how to eat an elephant? Okay. No, it's a proverbial elephant, it's not a real one. You eat it bit by bit. Yeah, the so-called elephant carpaccio. You have the whole goal and the vision, but how do you implement it? It's step by step, because things change. I mean, transformation of a bank of 45,000 employees, I can't tell you, this is how it's going to work. This is exactly what we're going to be doing. That's completely un-agile. That's just having an agile or scrum meetings and doing, at the end of the day, having agile lipstick, saying, look, we've got post-its, we've got Jira, we've got these meetings, there's a scrum master, product owner, but at the end of the day, not getting the point of it. It's about inspecting and adapting. It's about changing and reacting to the environment in which you're in. And it's difficult, but it's also super easy. And that's why, I think the last point I want to make, that's why there is no real moment where an organization can say that they're agile. You can be agile in one moment, but if you stop still and stand there, you're not agile anymore. Agile is something that keeps going and changes as you develop new services, new products, new functionalities for whoever it is that you're doing it for. How am I doing with time? I'm doing excellent with time. Oh, I think I have to put this one on. Yes, thank you to everyone. Yeah, thank you. And as I said, I would like to, given that I'm not really kind of great at giving speeches or that kind of stuff, I'm more into consulting mode. I'd like to open the floor to you guys if you have any questions, would like to reflect any things, would like to challenge anything that I said, or you would like to go and have a coffee. I was going to show a video as well, but yeah, I think we'll just take a little bit extra time. Yeah, so.
When doing sprint planning, instead of assigning people, what do you prefer to do and in which way do you do it and what do you think is the benefit?
Well, the point of sprint planning, if you go back here you want to clarify what you need to be doing, right? So that's where I would say product owner comes in, tells you these are the things that are there, this is the priority, these are the acceptance criteria, the test environments, give me sometimes quite a lot of detail on what is the actual expectation of the user or the customer. And then I've got here sprint planning 2, when we're talking about how. So in this process, moving from one meeting to the next, there is no more product owner. We don't need product owner. So the team is there deciding how they're going to be doing it. And I would like teams not to be thinking in silos, not to be like, this is my part, I do testing, you do development, you're a business analyst, or whatever, but we work as a team because we're all responsible for this thing being done, and perhaps people want to learn new things. So why don't we just write tasks, what the whole process is, what we need to do in order to achieve this user story, and then we decide during the dailies who takes it. And that's also, I think, the kind of beauty of writing user stories. If you write a user story, so me as, I don't know, who would like to have such and such functionality in order to be doing this and this. You have a whole range of things there. You have from analysis all the way to release, with all the steps in between. And so you're making it cross-functional in itself. You're ensuring that people will go and will have to talk to each other to be able to solve the user story. Is that kind of answering the question? Yeah? No?
Yes, but I was more asking in context of when you do a sprint planning, when you go deep within on splitting the actual work on how to do it, you're eventually going to figure out an idea on what's the best way to do it, and it's going to usually be tied to people doing it. So in the end, with the team who's doing the idea, you'll have an initial plan set up with people doing specific things. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But you also, as I said, through user stories, you also ensure that they need to communicate with one another. Of course, there's going to be specialists on certain things. But I would also like to tell people, look, I'd rather that you spend half a day each week pair programming. For example, that you do testing together, that we use the 4I principle. So where someone is sitting next to the other person to make sure that they're actually learning about this. I mean, I've had quite a good experience with writing like a skills matrix, basically. So I asked the product owner, tell me, what are the skills that you require in this team for the work that you're doing? And he gave me a list of, 15 things. I said, okay, so who has knowledge? Who has experience with it? So knowledge theoretical, experience practical. Who has interest? Who wants to do it? And we're like, guys, cool, you want to learn this? Perfect, this guy has experience, come on. It's completely fine, because I'm afraid otherwise if I don't do that, one of them goes on holiday and then the whole system is kind of waiting around. And it's not the point of having indispensable people. Of course, you can't expect that everyone's going to be an expert in absolutely everything. I mean, the idea is this, that you guys probably know the T-shape, basically. So this is, you've got your specialty, field of speciality here, but you can also develop things here. You can also learn bits and pieces so that you can communicate. I mean, we talked about in the previous session about DevOps. Yeah, DevOps. It's about talking to each other. And that's actually the video that I wanted to show you. Maybe you can check it out in your own time. The Death Star Canteen. Has anyone seen that? I recommend it. It's absolutely brilliant. And it just shows you also how important communication really is to kind of get to the result that you want to have. Yeah. Yeah.
I understood you correctly, so I'm not wrong, but for example, we're coming to planning, we have key tasks, and we're not going to assign them to one person.
User stories or tasks?
User stories.
Okay, big difference.
And then we're going to share them on days. For example, we're going to sit
Yeah.
on days from, and we're going to discuss, and someone's going to take one user story to develop it.
Mm-hmm.
But usually what you have of that part? How do you change the mindset? How do you get people?
So if you haven't heard the question, it's about, you have a backlog, or a sprint backlog with a lot of user stories, but there's a person who doesn't really want to be involved in dailies and just wants to have their own list with, the things that they need to do. Am I interpreting it right?
They say, when I come to work in the morning, I want to know what I need to do that day. Period. How do you change your mindset? Such person or persons?
Well, I mean, first, working agile is a lot about the pull principle. And someone mentioned this morning also saying, the best idea is to have a team that wants to come together. So you don't tell people like you're assigned to this team, you're assigned to this team. That's why the product vision or service vision is so important, where you're saying, this is what we want to be doing here. Me as a product owner, I want to take us on this journey, who's coming. That's, one way of doing it. But let's say that you have a team that's already set up, or that the management decided this is how it works, because actually that's unfortunately how it almost always goes. And then I'm going to be honest and tell you, and I'm sorry for, pardon my French, that's why the job of the Scrum Master is so shit. Yeah, it's difficult. It's super context dependent, and I've got a range of experience. I mean, with some Scrum Masters just kind of burning out, and I've got great experiences where the team is starting to understand, the majority of the team is starting to understand the whole mindset behind it. And in particular, they go into meetings like retrospectives where they say, there is openness in the team, there is respect, there is courage, there is real commitment, and this person who sometimes doesn't want to be working with people gets just kind of singled out and is like, I'm sorry, but we are all here on the same boat. You're the only one that's kind of preventing us from doing that. We've got to sort this out. Can you please show a bit more respect to your colleague? Because everyone's here trying to go towards something. You're the one that's not. Now, if Boris was here, I don't agree with him necessarily. What he's done actually, not just that he would say, but he's actually done it. He just took the cables off the computer from the guy who was being disruptive. Not the computer, he had the computer, but he just took the cables. He's like, you're not working with us anymore. You can sit here, but I'm not letting you do anything, because you're pissing the team off so much. What I'm trying to say is that there's a whole variety of things. I would first maybe start with having a chat with the person and see, okay, what is it? Why do you not want to do this? There's more. I think someone also mentioned this morning that there are many reasons, but it's usually you can categorize them as this person doesn't like you as a Scrum Master, or doesn't like the product owner, in which case it's a bit of a problem. The person doesn't understand what the whole thing with Agile transformation is all about. You remember maybe earlier when I said, you can call sprint planning 1 and 2 whatever you want. Some people just have this mindset of like, oh God, sprint planning, that means that. Just so much prejudice because of the term. I would need more context to give you a clearer answer, but it is about talking to the person for a start, seeing why they're not doing it, and seeing if it also disturbs the team. Actually, if it doesn't disturb the team, well then.
Well, actually, what happens in most of our teams, I completely understand what you're saying. Because there are people who are very passionate about changing the process, the mindsets, everything, but there are people who just say, I just want to code, it's not my job to do anything else. What we usually do is we try to motivate the person, to explain why they need to change the mindset. But until a certain point, if it doesn't work, after some time, they're no longer part of the team. They can stay in the organization, maybe to work on one man project or something, but the team doesn't accept that kind of thing anymore. So there is a point, when you have to make that kind of commitment.
Yeah, it's very context dependent. I mean, you will have people. I had one colleague who was also not really up for it, but he still took part in the dailies and would kind of always take himself the things that were, to do with his kind of direct speciality. The problem only came up when a colleague, another one, said, actually, I would really like to learn this. Can I sit with you? Can you show me? And he would let me. And I was like, yeah.
Actually, it's not even
What
the
about
Scrum
team?
Master who will say, like, you can't be part of this team. It's other team
Yeah.
members who don't want to do the job that this person is not doing. So why would they continue doing it? So it's team resolves that kind of problem.
That's the wonderful level of self-organization. When the team comes to that level, and when they say, well, you know what, we're able to actually, we've grown up, we understood this mindset, and we want to be solving the problems. We don't need a Scrum Master. You as a Scrum Master, yeah, go and get me, talk to the department lead, because we need, 2 million euros to develop a certain different application to, put 10 testing environments into one. We can't do it. We give you specifications, you go and talk to. But this kind of stuff, they're really able to also self-organize. So it's super dependent on what you do. And there's also the question or the issue of the prime directive. Everyone in the team is giving their best at any time with the tools and the blah blah blah, all the things that they have. We're giving our best. And then you can ask the colleague, how does the prime directive sound to you? Do you think that it doesn't apply to you for some reason, or you're obviously not giving your best necessarily because you're not being a part of the team? I think there was another hand somewhere.
Yeah. How does, in your experience, a team of 5 random people come together, like in a natural context? Because
normally a bar. No.
Let me give a bit more context of what I'm aiming for. So, you have a need from a client to do some project, let's say, and you already have available people to work on it, maybe, and given the number of constraints that you have, resource-wise, time to hire-wise, and so on, it comes to the point where you have an organization that's forced to make a team of what they have rather than having that exclusivity to let random people, or have that situation where those random people come together and make that best team.
So basically the idea is you get a team to do something, but you get people assigned to it. You don't really have a free choice, let's say, as a product owner.
And I can't even imagine how that would go about. That's what I'm asking.
Well, first of all, it's not very agile, but it's the reality. And then start with why. Why are we here as a team? And try to get people together on your vision. Say, this is the reason why we're here is because we want to achieve this and this. Then I would work on things like values, for example, and say, like, the 5 kind of values of openness, courage, and the others. You guys probably know them as well. And ask everyone in the round, okay, so what do these values mean for you? So that's already starting to build up an understanding of how the team sees this working together element. I mean, again, context is very, very important for it, but I think the kind of first thing is to have a common understanding on what we are doing and, what do we stand for? Where do we want to go? Is this something? Yeah. Thank you.